Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you're doing well today. It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And today I am going to be discussing why Kegels cause imbalances. I did a video like this maybe 3 or 4 years ago on my YouTube page, and I also did it on IG Live maybe earlier this year. But we're going to have this discussion one more time because I hear people talking about Kegels all the time, and Kegels are actually named after this white man that so-called came up with the exercises, but which basically consists of women just squeezing the vaginal muscles. And I guess like just squeezing the vaginal muscles maybe it could be better than doing absolutely nothing, but it also can create serious imbalances. It's as if like if I just did bicep curls all the time, if all I did was bicep curls and that's it, I never worked my triceps, I never worked my shoulders, I never worked other parts of my chest, other parts of my body, and I just worked my biceps, well, I guess just working my biceps maybe could be better than doing absolutely nothing, maybe, but it could also cause an imbalance because I'm strengthening my biceps and my biceps are super tight, and I'm not strengthening anything else, any other muscles around that area, then you end up with an imbalance. The bicep becomes tight and strong, the triceps, the shoulders, the chest, and the back are not. You have a serious muscle imbalance. And so that is also what can happen with Kegels, okay? So the thing is that some women, you have some women who may have a pelvic floor that is too weak, but then you also have some women whose pelvic floor is too tight. So in case you don't know what the pelvic floor is like a bowl of muscles that basically, they're also part of our core muscles, but they help to hold our internal organs up, okay? They separate our internal organs from like the outside of our body, from our openings, and they're supporting all those internal organs. Now, a woman can get a weak pelvic floor from childbirth for sure. Vaginal birth can, let me see what people are writing. Oh, okay. Vaginal birth can stretch out those muscles and cause serious issues. This is the reason why working with 90 eggs prior to giving birth is a really good preparation, because you wouldn't go into a football game never having gone to football practice or the weight room, would you? If you walk into a college level or NFL level football game and you haven't been going to the weight room and training and getting your muscles strong, you're probably going to get really hurt and take a lot longer to recover. So, working with 90 eggs prior to childbirth helps a woman to prepare, and then also afterwards, also after birth as well. So a woman can have muscles that are too lax and weak, and it can happen from a variety of things, namely childbirth, but not only childbirth, and I have videos where I talk about that as well. But a woman can also have pelvic floor that's too tight. And when you have muscles that are already too tight, then you don't want to increase that tightness and imbalance by just squeezing. No, you know what I'm saying? And then in general, when working all muscles in your body, you want to work through a full range of motion. So again, using the biceps as an example, I see people in the gym doing bicep curls like this, or maybe they're like this. This is their bicep curls, right? These little short movements. You need to go a full range of motion, all the way down and all the way up. Down and up. You want to work all muscles through a full range of motion, or you end up with like imbalances. You end up just strengthening little sections of the muscle, and you don't have strength throughout the whole entire muscle. So Kegels are not good for people who have a hypotonic pelvic floor, which means it's too tight to begin with. I also had a client some years ago that had, you probably heard of people that have like 100 orgasms a day, and it's a problem. I had a client like that maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and her muscles were like stuck. It wasn't a pleasurable thing. It was like, because when we have an orgasm, our muscles are rhythmically contracting. So it was like really like one big muscle spasm. So you could say she's having orgasms all the time, but it really was painful muscle spasms. And when she went to physical therapy, pelvic floor physical therapy, they had to use things to open her up. And I actually remember her talking about having a male sex partner at the time who was very well endowed, and how therapeutic that was for her because it forced her muscles to open up and relax. I talked about that a little bit yesterday with Does Size Matter? But I also remember her saying that he would do like this stirring motion and how it just would help to relax her muscles. So a woman like that would not want to be doing Kegels, okay? Actively squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. The pelvic floor muscles are different than the other muscles in the body because they never get a chance to rest. And I would say that that's also kind of true of the abs and the lower back that always support us, but our pelvic floor muscles are always working. So overworking them can get them, can make them too tight and cause issues, but at the same time, because our pelvic muscles are always working, then we want to do things to help strengthen them. Like, because muscles are shock absorbers, so muscles take stress off of joints. And so we have to strengthen muscles because over time our muscles weaken. And so you want to do things to strengthen all the muscles in your body. So you want to, the pelvic floor muscles are always working, so they're prone to imbalances, but you also want to have a balanced strengthening program for them to prevent injuries and prolapses and stuff like that. Again, the pelvic floor is made up of several muscles that go from like the front of your hip to the back and then from side to side. So it's like a web of muscles, okay? And the diaphragm is a part of that, but the diaphragm is not, our urogenital diaphragm is not solely the pelvic floor. And some women need to focus on relaxing, like I just talked about this, relaxing more than contracting. One thing about working with 90 eggs that's really good is that it gets women to focus on not just strengthening, but also relaxing. Because a lot of women ask me, oh, so when you work with a 90 egg, what do? You just squeeze, you just do Kegels? And that's not what I do, and that's not what I teach. I don't teach anyone to sit there and do Kegels, which again, Kegels are these like, oh, let me squeeze, let me relax, let me squeeze, let me relax. No. What I lead women through is different exercises, vaginal exercises with the egg that go through different planes of motion. Like we have different planes of motion, this way, twisting. We have different axes or planes of motion. And so when I teach my classes, I teach women to do the exercises through different planes of motion, through a full range of motion. So I never teach women just to sit there and squeeze and do simple Kegels. Okay. Somebody asked, okay, good ab exercises that don't stress the pelvic floor. Well, somebody asked about some good ab exercises that don't stress the pelvic floor. I suggest you look at my YouTube video on my page, The Body Scientist 81. I have a video with Pankazani, also known as Indigimama. And we have a video about exercises that are good for the womb and exercises that are bad for the womb. So I highly suggest taking a look at that video. And it's something that is often missed in fitness. Nobody talks about these things, but there are ab exercises that can cause your uterus to drop, and they're not so great. So definitely take a look at that video. Now, yes, so the egg, and also what I teach women a lot of is also how to relax. Understand the difference between contracting and relaxing, which a lot of women do not get. And I know midwives who have told me that there are a lot of women who in labor, they do not know the difference between relaxing and contracting, and they're contracting and tensing up when they should be relaxing. So 90 eggs really help with that, especially the exercises that I teach where you're really focused on that. And simply doing Kegels is not focused on that. Kegels is focused on the squeeze, the squeeze, the squeeze, okay? Kegels also pull the sacrum inward. So I'm going through my list. Kegels pull the sacrum inward, promoting even more weakness and more pelvic floor gripping. And then the muscles that balance out the anterior pull on the sacrum are the glutes. So basically, you have your glutes. I was talking about, oh yeah, this the other day I was doing a video on glute science. So our glutes and the pelvic floor muscles are all a part of our core, and they affect each other. Okay, so this is why my central strength training class, I don't just focus on eggs. The central strength training class that I've been teaching to women since 2007, it focuses on exercises for the entire body. I teach women how to strengthen all the muscles in her body and how to do it correctly. How to work the legs and doing squats and lunges correctly, deadlifts, and how to do back and chest and shoulder exercises correctly, because technique is everything if you haven't learned that from following me. But also You never just want to work one part of your body. Like as a trainer, I've known plenty of people that's like, oh, I just want to get my triceps right. I just want to work this. I don't want to work that. No, you need to work everything, or you end up with imbalances. You need to have a balanced program. Same thing when it comes to the pelvic floor. You don't want to just be doing Kegels or I'm just going to work my vaginal muscles. You want to work all the muscles in that area in a balanced way. And so they all affect each other. You know, if you have weak glutes, you know, your hips can be out of alignment. So strengthening glutes can pull them back into alignment. Having a pelvic floor that's too tight can pull things out of alignment. And so you have to train them together. And this is one reason why I also really believe in dances of the African diaspora. Because dances of the African diaspora, particularly in the Americas, that are often Congo-based, require a lot of relaxing and rhythmic relaxing and contracting and conscious control of our hips. And this is another thing I teach in my central strength training class. It's not just about working with eggs. It's the full picture, right? And so, so you need to balance out your glute strength and your what you're doing with your pelvic floor. And a lack of glutes is what makes the pelvic floor so much more susceptible to pelvic floor disorders. So, again, I was talking about glute science the other day. Our glutes are more than just what they look like. They have so many functions in our body, and that includes functions on our pelvic floor. So if you have weak glutes, it makes your pelvic floor more susceptible to injuries. Sorry, I'm looking at spiders. Chicago has more spiders than I've ever seen in any city in my life. There's spiders everywhere. So glute training, highly important for the pelvic floor. I remember when I was in college, I was running track. I wasn't thinking anything about the pelvic floor. I've always been a dancer, always been an athlete, right? Basketball was my sport in high school. But in college, I ran track and I was lifting heavy weights. And I remember, like, I wasn't thinking to myself, are my muscles tight? Are my vaginal muscles tight? But I remember some of the guys that I messed with in college, they would say to me, like, they would tell me, oh my God, you're so tight. Like, and of course, a woman doesn't want to be too tight. You don't want to be so tight and rigid that it doesn't feel good to you or them. But I remember them saying that, and I remember thinking back then, because I was an exercise and sports science major. Let me see what people are writing. I'm an exercise and sports science major. I was. So I was really into the body and muscles, and so I wasn't thinking about whether or not my vaginal muscles were tight. But when guys would tell me that, then I would start thinking, I wonder why that is, because it's not like I was consciously doing anything to make that happen. But then I would think about how I would be squatting heavy. And even though we didn't even learn really about the pelvic floor in my kinesiology anatomy classes, I put it together like, okay, all this weight on my back, I'm squatting down, I'm pushing up, and I'm using all of this. And so this all must be getting worked, and it does. And this is why I'm always saying squats are an essential core exercise, okay? So the combination of weak glutes and too many Kegels. So somebody's sitting around like, Kegels, 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 and doing Kegels all the time and squeezing their vaginal muscles all the time and not working their ass at all, not working their glutes at all. You end up with serious imbalances. The combination of weak glutes and too many Kegels is a disaster, okay? Serious imbalance, you don't want to do it. Pelvic floor disorder, it leads to pelvic floor disorder. Yeah, so pelvic floor can also, like I said, it needs flexibility, just like our vaginal muscles. You don't want it to be so strong and rigid that it's stuck in place, but you also don't want it to be too loose. It's supposed to be strong and trampoline-like, because too much tension can also cause weakness. And if you have too much tension and you're contracting, it can aggravate it, which I already spoke about. Deep squatting, which is different than just a regular back squat. Deep squatting is when you're squatting down like the primal squats. Deep squatting helps you create the posterior pull in the sacrum and balance out, and balance the work of the pelvic floor. So doing deep squats, which you can do in the gym, and Olympic weightlifters do them actually. I'm a U.S. Olympic weightlifting coach. Olympic weightlifting is cleans, jerks, snatches, you know, those power moves. They do deep squats, but also dances of the African diaspora. Ding, ding, ding. In Haitian dance in particular. And I always say Haitian folkloric dance is my yoga, because the positions that you get into in Haitian folkloric dance, like I've studied stuff from Cuba, from Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, but it's Haiti in particular that gets in these like very complex positions that a lot of times remind me of yoga positions, but there's a lot of deep squatting for sure in Haitian dance. And you're deep squatting and you're also using your pelvis, you're rotating, you're undulating as well. And that's why I so much believe in dances of the African diaspora, and especially Haiti, when it comes to balancing the body, strengthening the body, healing the body. So, of course, during pregnancy is the most critical time to have a strong pelvic floor. And so ideally, a woman would start with that prior to being pregnant. Think about pregnancy as like a sporting event. You know, I wouldn't want to go into a college basketball game, football game, track meet without having done the proper training first and making sure my muscles are strong enough to deal with it. But also during pregnancy, women should also focus on just increasing the overall awareness in the pelvic floor and alignment, which is something that 90 eggs really help with. It just helps to increase with awareness, increase the awareness as well, especially that relaxing and contracting. And learning how to let go and relax, just as important as contracting, as I keep saying that. Because there are some women who, they have problems with bowel movements, that is a, where they're constipated all the time. Yes, it could be that you don't drink enough water, eat enough fiber, but it could also be that your pelvic floor is too tense and you cannot relax enough. And, you know, when women work with 90 eggs, most women will put it in and the vaginal muscles suck it up like a tampon, or just they just grab it and it's like the woman doesn't even feel the egg. And how long it stays in depends on how strong she is to begin with. Some women may put the egg in and it stays in for 30 minutes and then it slides out. Somebody else might put it in, it stays in for an hour, then it slides out. Somebody else could stay for a day. Some women put it in and it slides out immediately, which is like, if I had a guess, hold on, I have a sneeze. Excuse me. If I had to guess, I would say that maybe 5% of women put the egg in, maybe 10%, I don't know, maybe 5. Put the egg in and it just slides out and they can't hold it at all. In that case, then that woman definitely has work to do on strengthening her pelvic floor, and she can just, you know, practice sitting with it, sleeping with it, stuff like that. But then there are women who put it in, which I remember knowing somebody once who put the egg in and they wouldn't come out for a week, and this is her first time. That's not a good sign. If you're having bowel movements and your egg is not coming out, or your egg is in and you're not having bowel movements but is there for a week, either way, that is a sign that you need to work on relaxing. You are way too tense. Another thing I wrote here, which I already spoke about, the vaginal muscles can contract in many different directions, and Kegels do not take advantage of that. Kegels don't address that. It's the same contraction. Again, why you could end up with muscle imbalances. You need a variety of contractions. You need to work muscles through the full range of motion. You need to work muscles in all planes of motion, or else you end up with imbalances. And so this is what I really focus on and teach in my sensual strength training class. Also, overactive pelvic floor muscles, just having, if you already have overactive pelvic floor muscles and then you're doing Kegels, it can irritate the nerves, especially the pudendal nerve, right? So if you already have overactive muscles and now you're like Kegels, 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 it can irritate one of the major nerves in your pelvic floor. And a weak pelvic floor can also cause the surrounding muscles to work harder, and that can cause lower back pain. And I've seen that a lot with, in working with Pakistani. We don't know who she is, you should. You can find her on Instagram at Indigiemama, INDGIEMAMA. You can also find her YouTube, Facebook, all that. When I've watched her work on individual women, I've seen a lot of women have back pain. And some of them didn't even say it when they first came in. They didn't mention it. But after she adjusted them and moved their uterus to where it's supposed to be, they would get up and be like, oh my God, my back pain is gone, that they had for years. And I noticed that a lot. And so me being a trainer, I know the back pain is coming, but I always associated back pain with, okay, you need to strengthen your back muscles, you have a weak back. But I never thought that back pain in a woman can come from a misplaced uterus. And so I have a YouTube video about that too, about why the position of our uterus is important, why womb massage is important. You can find all those videos on my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. Make sure you listen to those videos, follow that page, and if you learn something, share the videos. And yeah, I guess you just follow me here at 90 Eggs. And for those of you who are in Chicago, I will be doing a meetup this Saturday with my girl Kawana. If you're interested in attending from 2 to 4 p.m., just hit my inbox and I will let you know where to meet us. Other than that, hi India. Other than that, have a good day. I hope you learned something good about why Kegels can cause imbalances, and take care of yourself. Bye.